had that glow. You know, the one you have when you meet the love of your life at a wedding in Hawaii, and he wants to make you his forever. The one you have when you know that nothing can go wrong at 36. Well, it only took 3 little words to dim my light. I felt like I was jumped in a game, given these colors, the color pink. I soon learned there was nothing pretty in pink. Managing the ebbs and flows after a breast cancer diagnosis was never ending. Our life together was just beginning, but we had no future in sight. I'm now standing here in my chemo glow, willing to share my moments, because I soon learned that the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Hi guys, welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. How are you guys doing today? Did you hear me? The glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. I know we're live on YouTube because I just had the feedback from all of my things that are open telling me that we're live. So I need you to hit that subscribe button. Just go there so you'll know when we're going live, and you can catch us on YouTube, also on Facebook, and on Instagram. Our website is up, chemoglow.com. And if you want to email me like my guest did tonight, email me at chemoglow@gmail.com if you would like to share your glow. Guys, I've been out here in these pink streets, so I'm a little tired. So don't mind me. I'm just a little tired, but it's because that we're doing so many things, and I want to make sure that we're out here in the community, out in these pink streets, doing a lot of things. And this week, I've been gone since Monday, doing things for Healing Pines Respite. Now, Healing Pines Respite is a wonderful organization, healing for women with cancer through respite, nature, and connection. So I've been gone since Monday, and I also was very busy Monday morning before I went there because I was on My Carolina, because we have a big thing happening this Sunday. If you're in my area, please join us for Preserve the Connection. You're going to shop, support, and connect with vendors, with the community. We have so much going on. From our live music from 12 to 5, we have over 30 plus vendors. We have a cornhole tournament, food trucks. Oh, goodness, these food trucks. But you know me, I love my coffee. So Rove Coffee will be there. We have our classic car show, plus our kids zone. And all of this is going to benefit Note in the Pocket, making strides against breast cancer as well. And we're just looking for this big event so we doubled last year, and we got rained on last year, and we still doubled the donations that we gave to Note in the Pocket and Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. And because it rained out, we decided to do it again with them. So join me and my partner in crime, my neighbor, as we do a give back to our community. So I'm now leaving these peak streets because we got a lot going on. And I don't want my guests to be waiting very long. So please remember that next week, Beth will be joining us. I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. And the following week will be Elmo. Now, I've known Elmo for many, many years. And this one is going to be a colorful one. So please come out. Make sure you join me next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. Just click on. And if you can't listen live, listen at a later time. Let me know that you're there. Like I said, my guest tonight, Miss Heather Tracey. What happens when your purpose and your passion come together and they collide? I'm looking so forward to talking to Heather tonight. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. Hey, Heather, how you doing?
I'm great, Regina. How are you?
I am good. I got through that intro, so I'm doing pretty good here. So I am so happy that you're joining me tonight, and thank you for reaching out to me on email about sharing your glow.
Absolutely. It's great what you're doing here, and I'm so happy to be having a conversation with you tonight.
Yeah, and this is like your second one today. You've
Yeah,
been really promoting your book and talking about things that are going on in your life. So I thank you for letting me in your day like this.
absolutely.
Well, you actually went to an event for Healing Pines Respite, and I had no idea that you attended that event. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into your story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I went to one of the Healing Pines Respite single day respites where you get to go and um, get a massage
Mhm.
and get to connect with other people going through breast cancer or other kinds of cancers, and just take some time for yourself and just reconnect with yourself, connect with other people. You can take some time by yourself in the sauna or in the steam room, or you can go with other people and you get lunch, a
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
lunch, and as I said, like a massage, or you can do a facial. You get your choice, and it's just a lovely time to relax, unplug. And as
Yes.
someone who runs their own business, unplugging is a big deal, just to get away and recharge.
Because you run your own travel agency, is that correct?
Yes, I have run Melvin's Travel Adventures since 2018,
Okay.
and I specialize in nerd ventures. So it's
I
travel
love
for the
it.
nerd in all of us. So like filming locations,
Mhm.
or if you want to go to certain theme parks, or you want to go to explore our national parks, or any, I can basically turn anything into a nerd venture. But yeah, I that's my passion. I love doing that. And yeah.
Well, I love that you love doing that, and that's one of the things that I connect with because soon as you sent me pictures, I went and I showed my husband. He was like, "Oh yeah, this is this place. This is that place." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna have to sit down and talk to you a little bit more about this." And he just enjoyed talking about it. So I'm so happy that you're here. But we definitely have a connection. It's not the one that we want, but we have one. Because,
Oh yeah.
we were jumped in this thing called cancer,
Yep.
and there's nothing pretty in pink. Everything is not pretty in pink. So tell me a little bit about your story, about your glow, and when you heard those words, "You have cancer."
Yep. So it was 2022. I went in for my routine mammogram, and they said, they're came back and told me I needed to come back in, because there was something suspicious. And I had gotten callbacks before, and it turned out to be nothing. So I wasn't super concerned about the
Mhm.
callback, but I went for the callback. They did the diagnostic mammogram, and they said that there was an enlarged lymph node. The radiologist's exact term was chunky lymph node. And I thought to myself, why are you fat shaming my lymph node? Um,
I
but
know, right? Chunky. Now, and all the times that I've been doing this, I've never heard of a chunky lymph node. But
yeah,
but keep going.
yeah. So he wanted to go ahead and do an ultrasound, and he took a closer look at it and said, I think, yeah, and it was around the time, because 2022, I had gotten a COVID vaccine the
Mhm.
year prior, and he said it seems like it's a little too far away from that to for it to be affecting your lymph nodes, but they knew that the COVID vaccines were affecting people's lymph nodes,
Mhm.
and showing up on mammograms. And he said, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, And I will forever be grateful to him because he
Wow.
saved my life by going ahead and pushing for the biopsy. Um, so we did the biopsy,
Mhm.
and I remember when I got the call because we were out checking our bees because my husband and I have way too many hobbies. And we have an apiary in our backyard, and I'm all in my bee suit and whatever. And normally I don't take my cell phone out there with me unless I
Mhm.
have clients traveling or something like that. But I had my cell phone in my pocket because I was waiting for that call.
Mhm.
And um, and we were just hoping that it was because of the COVID vaccine. We were just
Mhm.
hoping. And my phone rang, and I can't answer my phone with my gloves on
Yeah,
and
of
everything.
course not.
So I had to leave the apiary, take my gloves off, and my husband was like doing everything to put the hive back together so he could come follow me. Took my hood off, took the glove off, answer the call, and I don't remember the exact words. I don't remember what
Yeah.
anything. Just I knew what he was saying enough, and I just started crying. And my husband came up, and he knew what had happened based on my face. And
Mhm.
I put the thing on speaker, and I said, I'm sorry, can you please say that again so my husband can hear, because I can't.
You can't process. All you
Yeah.
hear is "want, want, 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 want."
Yeah, it was
You
Charlie
can't
Brown's
process.
teacher. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And so my husband listened to everything, and I'm having a hot flash at the moment. And
That's alright.
he listened to everything that he said, and we hung up, and just stood there, and he held me, and I cried, and standing there in our bee suits and just sobbing. And I don't even think we finished with what we were doing with the bees that day.
Mhm.
We just came inside, and I told my husband, I was like, I can't call my mom. Like, I can't tell her. I don't have the words to,
Uh-huh.
I can't talk about this right now. And he's like, I'll call her. I'm like, we need to tell her, but I can't
You
do it
can't.
myself. And so he called her, he put her on speaker. And told her that I was standing right there, that I just
Say the
couldn't.
words. How long
Yeah.
did it take you to actually? Because I did the same thing. I could not tell, um, my family. I did not wanna speak those words, um, because I couldn't believe that I was hearing those words. So my husband became my translator to everything cancer. Like I would say it this way and he would say it another way because my words weren't so kind. So he
Yeah.
had to change them up
Yeah.
for me. So he was the one that was making the phone calls for a lot of the folks that we did decide to share with, but we didn't share with a lot of people at first.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't share with a lot of people at first either. Um, my mom was the only one, I think, that we called initially. Um, I was able to share with people like via text or through, you other electronic means.
mhm,
But I didn't post anything on social media for until I was finally diagnosed,
mhm.
because this was just a lymph node that showed cancer. I had no formal
Oh.
diagnosis yet, because nothing else showed up on the mammogram except
Mhm,
for the lymph node. Um, and so they didn't know that it was breast cancer at that time. They just knew that I had cancer somewhere.
mhm.
So anyway, we told my mom, and I told a couple close friends, and I think my mom told some of our closer family members as well, which I was fine with. But um, we decided, we're not going to tell everybody until we know what's going on, because I didn't want to answer a blue million questions from people like, when are you getting surgery? Are you going to have to
Mhm.
do chemo? Are you going to do radiation? Oh, my friend had cancer and
Oh,
they died. Or, my friend had cancer and this, that, and the other thing. And
wait,
no.
I'm gonna stop you right
Yeah.
there. Don't you love that? Well, my friend had cancer, and I missed them. Oh, my friend, and I'm like, I didn't ask you for that. I had
Yeah.
to tell, my sister. She would send me, like, literally send me, like, um messages about people who have died, and I finally said, "Don't you send me nothing else about cancer. I don't care if it was a childhood friend, our next door neighbor when we were growing. Do not send it to me because I cannot process this right now." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, your friend had cancer.
Yeah.
All the advice in the world, right?
Yeah. Nobody going through cancer wants to know about anybody that you know who had cancer, whether it was a good or a bad outcome,
You
because
just don't want to know.
everyone's story is completely
Mm,
different.
yep.
Completely different. Whether they could have the exact same diagnosis, but every person is different
Yeah.
in how they react to everything. And so it your story is not my story, and my
Hmm.
story is not your story. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's yeah.
All we have in
Um
common is the C word.
yeah,
And yeah, and then we
yeah,
can connect from there and find the support and all that, but that's it. That's what we have. We have in common the C word. All right, so keep going. You've
yeah.
told your family, the ones that you need to tell, your friends, and, how long have you been married,
Uh,
when you got that diagnosis?
at that time, 18 years, just about
Oh,
18 years.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a long time. How did your husband take it? Did he want to fix it? Did he take charge? What happened there?
He was basically there for whatever I needed.
Mhm.
Um, he's amazing. And he did what I needed him to do. And if I needed to just stand there and cry, he was just there to give me a hug or a kiss, or just let me cry or
I
scream
love
or
that.
whatever. Um, and if I needed him to cook dinner, he cooked dinner. And if I needed him to drive me somewhere, he drove me somewhere. He was with me. We're fast forwarding, but he was with me for every single chemo appointment. And he didn't have to do that. We had other
Mhm.
friends who had offered and whatever, but he was there at every single one. He was on his laptop working the whole time, but he was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
Like, my husband was there. It was weird for him not to be there.
Yeah.
Finally, when I went through radiation, and I finally was like, "Can I go by myself?"
Yeah.
And I went, and then I had the worst day ever.
Yeah.
And he had to end up showing up anyway. But there on his laptop working, being present, being there. It's just a lot of people don't have that. When you
Yeah.
were there, did you ever see someone who was by theirself?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Occasionally. And I mean, I saw people who were Ubered to the cancer center,
Mhm.
and, Ubered home. And, you know, a lot of people were there with other people. And I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people for radiation were there by themselves. I
Yes.
went by myself for
Yes.
radiation. That one's a lot easier to drive
Yeah.
yourself to and from,
Every
although
day,
it does
15 minutes.
yeah, it does get exhausting, but
Mhm.
it's a lot easier for that one. But for chemo, it's harder. And even sometimes with appointments and stuff, I would ask him to come with me. And
Mhm.
scanxiety is a thing. And
Truly. Truly a
and
thing.
yeah.
And the weight gain, when they tell you to, "Wait, we'll call you.
Yeah.
Wait."
Yeah.
You've been diagnosed with cancer, and now you have to wait for surgery. Wait, and I'm like, "Okay." And then, of course, you have my chart, the lovely my chart.
Yeah.
And then you have what people say, the Google, not Google, but the Google, where you Google everything about your cancer, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
I
when
call
you
it
were
Doctor Google.
Dr. Google, so when you were told those words that sounded like "wah, wah, 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 wah," you
Yeah.
have cancer, and now they only see it in the lymph node. You haven't been diagnosed with what type of cancer. What was the next step?
So I went to see my GP the next day.
Mhm.
She sent me for a CT scan, and a breast MRI, because the most likely location coming from that area of lymph node, it was the right armpit lymph node, would be breast. But not necessarily. So I think if I recall correctly, I got the CT scan first, and that didn't really show anything. Or nothing lit up on there. So then I went for the breast MRI, which is like one of the weirdest things ever. Um, Kneeling down with your boobs in a jail is what I call it.
It's like, so they're just gonna be out there like that? Like,
Yeah,
they get no love, they're just gonna swing and do? Okay.
in
Yes.
jail.
In jail, I love it.
Yeah,
I used to call when we used to have the MRI and then you have to, they do the scans. I used to call it the coffin. It just was like a coffin to me with
yeah,
a alarm. Alarm, you just beep, beep, beep. Everything's loud, everything's
yeah,
cold, everything. And then your boobs are just there. And after a while, you're just like, you know what, whatever.
yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
just start undressing before they even tell you to undress. I
By the
don't need
time
a
you get
gown.
to radiation, you're just like, why am I even wearing a gown?
Y'all have seen everything.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, so
yeah. So
you get
did the
your MRI.
breast MRI,
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 spots show up between both breasts.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, okay, we'll send you back to radiology for them to do the biopsies again. Except, so they go and they're going to do the ultrasound guided biopsy, except the ultrasound can only pick up one of the things of the 5. So they do the ultrasound biopsy on that one. That
Mhm.
turns out to be nothing. Um, but while I'm there, they're like, well, let's try mammogram guided biopsy,
Hmm.
and see if the mammogram can pick up any of the other ones that they saw on the MRI. So they're, looking at the MRI scans, they're looking at the mammogram, they're looking at the MRI thing, and
Mhm.
looking at the mammogram. They find, I think, one more with that,
Mhm.
or maybe 2, and maybe it was 2. I don't know. That day is a blur because I was there for like 4 hours. It was
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness.
And they do the mammogram guided biopsy of, I believe it was 2 of them, and they that was horrendous. And
Mm.
of course, because I'm already there, they can't give me like Valium. There's nobody there to prescribe me anything to make me not care about this
Yeah.
procedure. So the sound of that sounds like you're in a dentist's office and
Mhm.
they're drilling
Mhm.
into your breast, and you're being squished at the same time. And it's, yeah. So that one was awful. And I think I crushed the nurse's hand because she's like, just hold my hand and look at the wallpaper. And I'm like, okay. Uh, so yeah, I think I might have crushed her hand a little bit. But so they did that, and then but they couldn't find the other 3. So then they had to send me for the MRI guided biopsy. So boobs in a jail again. That one I got the Valium for, and my
Good.
husband my husband had to drive me for that one. Um, However, the Valium was not enough to not realize what was going on
Mhm.
and to not feel the pain. And like I thought it was over, but they
Yeah.
hadn't done anything yet.
They were just
They,
pressing.
well, they were just like finding it, and I
Uh-huh.
thought they were done, but they
Yeah.
hadn't actually done the biopsy yet. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I think I said, "Oh, are you done?" And they're like, "No, honey, we're not done yet."
We're just prepping. We haven't
Yeah.
done anything.
Yeah, so it was boobs hanging in this contraption, and then they're squashing it like a
Uh-huh.
grilled cheese sandwich with this
Mhm.
grid pattern, and it's like you're in a George Foreman grill or something, and this grid pattern so they can find out where they are,
Yes.
so they put the needle in the right place.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, I got stuck like 3 times with that. And anyway, so from all of that was the worst one, by the
Yes.
way. We went up in severity. But so the through all of that, they
Mhm.
found 2 spots in my right breast and 1 spot in the left. Um, and so they sent me to the breast surgeon. It took like
Mhm.
basically a month to do
That
all of
wait
this.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you go from getting your boobs, you have to be there. Like you have the MRI, all that. You got to be there. And then you have the wait time, right?
Mhm.
And now that you have the wait time, you go to your surgical doctor because there are many of them.
Yeah,
And you have a whole team and you realize, oh, so you're not the only doctor. But the good thing about the UNC, they that you can get it all done on one floor. Like they all come to you
yeah,
and at times they all
yeah.
come to you. So once you go to your first doctor, what is your treatment plan and what did you find out? What was your diagnosis?
Yeah, so they did not tell me my stage, like, ever. Nobody ever told me my stage. I had to find it in my chart at some point,
Mhm.
and, it was, like, after chemo and everything that
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
actually found out what my stage was, to be, but, yeah, it doesn't really matter anymore to me, but,
Yeah.
they never actually told me at that point, but they said basically that I was a great candidate for doing bilateral lumpectomy because I was
Mhm.
immediately thinking that I was going to need to have a double mastectomy. My
Uh-huh.
grandmother had breast cancer back in the 70s, and she had it twice. She had it once at like around 55 and once at like 65.
Mhm.
And they basically just took the breast both times, and my surgeon just said, basically that people were butchers back then. They just
Yeah.
didn't think that there were other options. They didn't know any better, really,
Mhm.
was part of it. But basically, for what I had, lumpectomy was the best of the options that I was given. The best option for me, at any
Yes.
rate.
And in your book,
And
you talk about that, and we're going to get to that book. But I like how you mentioned in the book about mentally having bilateral versus a lumpectomy. Um, it really does affect you. I mean, I had both breasts removed at different times, and it
yeah,
really does affect your mental health as well as your physical health and recovering.
yeah,
So, yeah, I
yeah,
like that you put that in the book.
yeah. Um, and that was something, and I took a while to decide what I wanted to do. She gave me all the options and she's like,
Uh-huh.
"This is completely up to you." And everything. And so after a few days, I talked about it with my husband, and I talked about it with my mom,
Mhm.
a couple friends and whatever, and I just decided that this was the best option for me. So I did the bilateral lumpectomy. Of course, they did the lymph node, sentinel lymph node removal as well.
Mhm.
And so my surgery was scheduled for about 3 weeks after I met with my surgeon. Um, so I was diagnosed, got the call on
Yeah.
420.
Oh.
420. So I can remember it. I'm
Yeah,
like, it's celebrated
420.
for other things, but
Yeah.
I can remember it. And then I had surgery on June, I believe, somewhere around June 21st or 22nd, something like
Uh-huh.
that. So it was about
So
2 months
2
total.
months. Wow.
Yeah, between the call and the surgery. But a lot of people are nervous for surgery, and
Yeah.
I was just like, "Get this crap out of me."
Yeah.
I just wanted it over with. My mom was petrified. Like, she
Oh, wow.
came up for the surgery, my husband was nervous for it, whatever, and I'm just like, "You guys go be nervous. I'm gonna go and just get the cancer out."
I was actually smiling in a picture. I'm like, "Okay, what are we doing? Can we get it done?" Because it's after the surgery when they're like, "Oh, lymphedema. Oh, now you're gonna have to have chemo. What about your heart? Did you ever have to get I think it was called a mugga or something, where I had to get my heart checked all the time because of chemo, because I was going what I was going through. It was all the things that the side effects were gonna cause that I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so the cancer is gone, but you're gonna freaking kill me trying to get me healthy again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after surgery, did you have chemotherapy?
Yeah, so after surgery, they had to take during surgery, they ended up having to take 8 lymph nodes, which was more than they had expected.
Mhm.
And so that pushed me into having to have chemo, which was
Mhm.
a whole other grieving process.
Yes.
Because I had they were hopeful that I wasn't going to have chemo and that I could
Mhm.
just go straight into radiation and then
Mhm.
hormone. I was still going to have hormone therapy,
Yeah.
but not have to have chemo. But because of the number of lymph nodes, I had to have chemo, and so I was just like, ugh. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I had basically 2 months off from surgery after surgery just to heal and recuperate and everything. And then in August, I started chemo, and I had to have an EKG, echocardiogram,
EKG.
whichever one it is.
Yep.
I don't know the difference. Dr. Google could tell me, but I don't
Doctor
remember.
Google could tell us.
Yeah.
So you had to have that, but I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, you said something very important that a lot of people don't understand, the grieving of it.
Yeah.
When you think that, okay, I only have to do this and I can go straight to radiation, then they tell you need chemo, but then you need to wait and heal a little bit before we give you chemo. So your mind is just racing because I'm pretty sure you were reading up. Dr. Google was giving you the information about what chemo does to your body and what to expect
Yeah.
and just seeing what the glow looks like with chemo. So once you got into chemo, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, so the first day, and this is in the book. This is this
Mhm.
this scene I had to put in the book because this is one of the biggest, most horrendous moments of my cancer journey.
Mhm.
Was and in chemo especially, was the first day when I had my first chemo treatment. I went in and it was fine, and the nurses they're so nice. They're just
Mhm.
such amazing people. And my husband was there, and whatever. And so I get home and I took a nap. Every time I had a chemo treatment, I came home and I immediately took a nap because they give you
Mhm.
so much Benadryl and steroids and whatever. And you're just like, all the
Yeah.
pre-treatment stuff just knocks you out. So I came home and I took a nap, and then I got up, and I don't remember what I did for the rest of the day, but like
Mhm.
later on in the evening, I got this massive headache, like worst headache I have ever had in my life. And I'm a migraine sufferer, so I know bad headaches. I know what migraines feel like. This was not a migraine. This was, my
Mhm.
head was going to explode, to the point where I was on the floor in our bathroom hugging the toilet because I did not know if my head was going to blow up or if I was going to throw up. I was
Wow.
so nauseated, and just like it was awful. I couldn't move. I could not peel myself up off the floor. My husband was on the phone with the nurse on call because it's like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. I don't know. Um, and one of our cats was like laying on the floor behind me. That's also in the book. Laying on the different cat, but laying on the
Yeah.
floor behind me, and like, mommy, what's going on?
Yeah.
Whatever. But my husband's on the phone with the nurse on call, and he's like, what do we do? What is going on? This is obviously a reaction to the chemo, but
Mhm.
what do I do for her? And so he said, should she take her migraine medicine? And the
Mhm.
nurse on call said, yes, sure, she can take her migraine medicine, that's fine. So he got me a migraine pill. I took the
Mhm.
migraine pill. That was the worst thing I could have done, was take
What
that migraine pill.
happened?
I don't know, but what that does is it does increase the blood flow. It increases your blood pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was already having increased blood pressure because of the chemo, which was causing the massive headache.
Mm.
So it increased the blood pressure more.
Did you pass out?
I
Oh,
did
oh my
not
goodness.
pass out, but it just made it pound that much more.
Mhm.
So my husband was finally like, okay, we got to get you up. We're going to lay you down in the bed and see
Mm.
if the laying down
Mhm.
helps. Immediately, as soon as I laid down and was horizontal, immediately it was better. It wasn't completely gone, but it was so much better. And he
Mhm.
just laid down next to me and rubbed my back and
Mm.
rubbed my head until I could fall asleep. And I felt so much better the next day. And so we told my the oncologist nurse, like the her official nurse called the next
Mhm.
day to check on me and said that, the on-call nurse was incorrect. That should not have
I was gonna
been,
say.
yeah, it should not have been the migraine medicine. They should have had me take Excedrin migraine because
Mhm.
that is a completely different system.
Mhm.
And so what they did was from then on, when they infused that particular drug that caused the migraine, they infused it over a longer period of time. And then um, if I even got a twinge of a headache
You would.
after chemo, I immediately was to take the Excedrin migraine.
Mhm.
And for the other 3 rounds of that drug, I did not get a massive headache like that.
Because the side effects from the treatment is so real, and I wanted to talk about how much of your book, because when your passion meets your purpose, you've been writing for how long now?
I mean, I've been writing off and on since I was like 13, but I've been
Yeah.
writing this book off and on since about 2015.
Okay.
I originally I started it in about 2015, finished it maybe in 2016, I believe.
Mhm.
But it just sort of sat there.
Mhm.
And it didn't have a whole lot of heart. And
Mhm.
it was just a boy meets girl, they fall in love, and
Uh-huh.
the end. Um, and it did have the dreams in it, which is
Mhm.
another thing for me, because I've always had vivid dreams all my life.
Mhm.
Um, but that was kind of it. And so when I finished treatment
Mhm.
in early 2023, I thought, I really want to write about my story, but I'm not a journaler.
Mhm.
That's never been my thing. It's never worked for me. And I thought, I could write about this in fiction. And
Yeah.
do I do a short story? Do I put it in a book? And then I thought back to this book and I thought, what if Claire had breast cancer?
Yeah.
And then I thought about the thought that swirls around anybody's head that goes through any kind of diagnosis, whether it's
Mhm.
cancer or some other kind of thing. What if I didn't have this?
Mhm.
And I thought, what if she had what if it was a multiverse? Because I'm a
Mhm.
huge nerd and I love
I
Marvel
love
and
it.
that whole thing. And what if in one timeline she has cancer and in the other timeline it's benign? And
Yeah.
how would her life be different? So
And we
kind of
always
getting to
think about
explore
that.
that. Yeah, kind of getting to explore that and then using my own journey in the book. And I mean, obviously I was not going through romance. I had been married to my husband for 18 years when I did this, but all of the cancer stuff in there is my journey. The only thing that I fictionalized with that, I was mentioning this on another podcast, was the part where Claire gets emotional about not being able to have kids because she goes into menopause, even though
Mhm.
she's decided not to have children, but she's in menopause and she's like, oh, now it's been taken away from me, even though,
Mhm.
whatever. That was not really a factor for me, but I know a lot of people have had that thought and have had that grieving process as well. So
Mhm.
I thought I would put that in there for her.
So
But
many grieving processes go on and you don't realize you're gonna miss it until it's gone, and some people, it's not a part of their life, and then it is, and you just mentioned menopause. Tell me a little bit about, like, these hot flashes are real. If my glasses fog up, just act like you don't even see it and keep talking to me 'cause
I mean, I think my cheeks have been red since like the fifth minute we were talking.
I'll just start doing this. I
Yeah.
will find something. And because I was 36 when I was diagnosed, I was going through menopause at 36, like the side effects of all the cancer treatment, all that stuff that was going on, having to suppress my ovaries, all that stuff that's going on. People don't realize it's like, you're too young. And I'm like, Yeah, they said I was too young to have cancer, and I did. So,
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I was diagnosed at 42,
mm-hmm.
and I
That's young.
yeah, and I went into menopause because of the chemo, which they said
Mm-hmm.
could be temporary. Could be temporary.
You see me looking at you sideways.
Yeah, it was not temporary.
No.
Voiceover narration. It was not temporary. Um, but yeah, it was definitely not temporary. It took my oncologist 18 months before she finally believed that I was fully in menopause. And I'm like, come to
Mhm.
my house, sit here and watch my face get red every,
Mhm.
hour or two, and you'll understand that I am fully in menopause. But um, I I have not had a period since the month after I started chemo in
Mhm.
2022.
Yeah.
And now I'm 45 and I'm in menopause, full on menopause. I never got to do perimenopause.
You
Uh,
jump right on over that.
yeah, I mean, I could have been on the cusp of it beforehand, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I was never diagnosed with it, so
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I missed that completely. And the thing you don't know about menopause until you start doing it is how much it affects.
Every part of your body. If okay, side note, folks, if you're listening, just know it might go left, it might go right, I don't know. But if everybody was like, use coconut oil because you dry out from the outside to the inside. And these are the things that we don't talk about. And then you're married and you have to, still do your wifely duties and all that good stuff. And you're like, but I'm in menopause, but I'm too early. And your body is changing and you can't answer these questions because no one's really talking about menopause and cancer. They're trying to kill what's trying to kill you first.
Yep.
And then you have all these layers of other things that are going on.
Yeah.
So going through menopause and convincing your doctor that you're going through it, going through chemo and also radiation. How was the radiation compared to chemo?
Radiation was definitely easier,
Mhm.
but it comes with its whole own host of other side effects and everything. And I mean, I did get a little bit of a reprieve between chemo and radiation, mainly because we had a vacation planned um, in between where we were going to go to Disney World and
Mhm.
Universal for Christmas. And I
Oh.
asked my doctors, was this okay? Like whatever. And they're like, it's fine. So yeah, that's us on the left there at Magic Kingdom with with my wig on. And we did go vote in our masks that
Yeah.
year while I was still going through chemo. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so I have no eyebrows at Disney World, but whatever.
Yeah.
My eyebrows gave up like the week before that. They just fell right off. Um,
They were paying mine's played peekaboo, like, you could
yeah,
see them, are they there or not? And then they were gone,
yeah.
just
Well, they
gone.
they stayed on all through chemo, and then after chemo, my
Uh-huh.
eyebrows and my eyelashes just fell off. It's like, what? Wait a minute. Why are you giving up now? My hair on my head is starting to come back. It was bizarre. But anyway, so we had already planned that, and they said as long as you don't get COVID, it's fine. Like just be very careful. So anytime we were indoors, I had my mask on, was
Mhm.
being really careful, very thoroughly hand washing and everything. Anytime we were outside, we were trying, we were just being careful about touching stuff and whatever,
Mhm.
but we weren't masking quite as much unless we were in really big crowds. But had a great time. We had some friends that lived down there that we saw and just got to have some fun. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I was getting my stamina back a little bit and that kind of thing. So, but radiation, it's mostly like I am a pasty white woman. So I got, pretty sunburned,
Mhm.
so to speak, radiation burned from
Yeah, they say
the
sunburn. You're
radiation.
like, I've
Yeah.
had those before. This is not a
Yeah,
sunburn."
no. And then, like, right under the breast, I
Mhm,
got, it was, like, braiding down, under there, so I couldn't
mhm,
it hurt to wear a bra or anything
mhm,
underneath, so I was having to what put, like if I needed to go out and wear a bra or something, I was having to put, like, these nonstick gauze pads under
mm,
there so nothing would rub.
yeah,
And then I had to get, like, the steroid cream to put on my burns because they were, more intense than they thought they were gonna be, and I mean,
mhm.
you're just lotioning
I
everything.
and anything you wear is ruined,
Yeah,
so just
I was
just
basically just wearing the same 3 shirts all the time that I didn't care about, so I could
Yep,
just throw them away as soon as I
yeah,
was done. If I had to go out in public, I was trying to make sure that, I was
mhm.
wearing a bra that I didn't care about that would then also get thrown away, that was then not touching the clothes.
'Cause you would get rid of all of that, and then you would have stains.
Yeah,
My husband made my body butter for my skin. Um, and he made some nice stuff for my sunburn because it was not. I mean, I was crisp all the way through, but I
yeah.
remember they used to sniff me and be like, "You smell good," and I was like, "This is a little weird because I don't have a top on and you're sniffing me, but okay, I'll take that." I'll take that. Well, you talked about your bald head and you don't have many pictures with your bald head. And we're gonna get to your book, but you are so fascinating. Like, I have to talk about what you did here. And you actually made this costume. Tell us a little bit about your cosplay.
Yeah, so I made both of these costumes back in 2018. It's Doctor Strange and the Ancient One from
Mhm.
Marvel's Doctor Strange. I tried to make them as movie accurate as possible. And there was so much studying of these costumes. I watched that
Wow.
movie a lot and looked at screen captures online. Even had a friend who was able to go to one of the museums where the costumes were displayed to get me like 360 pictures. Yeah,
Mhm.
I went to a lot of trouble and a lot of hours to make these costumes. So we wore them to Dragon Con back in 2018 and to GalaxyCon here in Raleigh in 2019 and did a couple of cosplay contests. We didn't win anything, but um, you know, people wanted to take our picture and everything. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to shave my head.
Mhm.
But the Ancient One has a bald head. Tilda Swinton has a bald head in the movie. And so I would put the hood up and just
Uh-huh.
have the hood covering my face. So you couldn't tell whether I had hair or not.
Mhm.
But when I knew I was going to go bald from chemo, I was like, you know what?
What?
Let's do a photo shoot because this
Mhm.
is the hopefully one and only time I am going to be bald, knock on wood. And
Yes.
I want that picture, the one on the left there of me in the power pose from the
Yes.
movie poster, with the bald head in that costume. Um, and then we had a whole host of pictures. These are two of my favorites. But the one on the
Mhm.
right, with the big swirlies,
Mhm.
is actually hanging up in our house. But we had a
I love
photographer
it.
friend of ours go out with us, Doug Mull,
Mhm.
photography, go out with us to the North Carolina Museum of Art, and we took all sorts of pictures all over there, and even had some Marvel fans who were there for their sister's quinceanera doing a photo shoot, who had us come take pictures as part of her photo shoot. And I think she didn't care that we were there, but her brothers were really excited.
I love it because I showed my husband this and he was like, "Wait a minute, that's really cool." And he went and found the picture from the movie and he was like, "Yeah, this is so and so and this is so and so." And I was like, "Okay." And you were spot on. How
Yeah.
long did it take you to make that?
I actually have, somewhere in the recesses of my computer the actual number of hours that it took
Hmm.
me to make those costumes. His took longer than mine, But uh, I cannot remember at this moment. But it was a long time. It
Oh,
was
wow.
many
Many
hours.
hours. Well, it was so worth it, and you didn't have to shave your head, which is great.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotta look at the bright side. If there's gonna
yeah.
be a silver lining, what is it? What is that silver lining gonna be? Oh, my girl Susan. Oh, she
Thank
says,
you,
"Wow,
Susan.
those costumes are amazing. What an amazing way to embrace your situation." We talked about different support groups that are out there, and actually, me and my girl Susan actually met in one of those support groups that you mentioned yourself in your book, which was YSC.
Yep,
Yep,
yep.
and, now they were online at the time, right, for you because of, COVID, or did you ever go to a live one,
I have not been to a live
like,
support
in
group meeting
person?
with them, but
Mhm.
I have been to two YSC conferences. I went to
Mm,
one in Charlotte and one recently this in March in Atlanta.
okay.
Um, so yeah,
I went to the one I think we were in, Maryland, the one I went to, it was nice too.
yeah,
I
they
I re
put on a really good conference.
They do, they do. Now you didn't get to ring a bell after what, chemo or radiation? Which one was it?
Either. The chemo, they didn't have a bell, and so I was like, "Oh, well, okay." And then radiation, I asked if they had a
Mhm.
bell, and they said, "No, they don't have a bell." And I understand why. It makes sense. Because they don't because some people who are metastatic will never actually be
Mm.
finished fighting the disease, so they don't want to, you know, have people ringing bells when some people will not ever be finished with their
Wow.
treatment. So when I finished radiation, I actually brought in a little tiny bell
Mhm.
and rang it that last day. But when we went last year to New Zealand and we went to Hobbiton, which
Mhm.
we had to put off since 2020. Um, I got to ring a bell at Hobbiton and got my photo taken there. And so I considered that symbolic because that was basically on my 2 year, right around my 2 year survivorversary, as I call it.
Mhm.
And so I was very emotional when I got to do that. And kind of considered that, even though I wasn't finishing anything in particular, but I
Mhm.
just considered that my bell ringing.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah,
I love that. I like your shirt says, "You're a strong female character in your own story." You
yep.
are that. And before we get to your book, and if you don't mind staying on a little bit longer for me because
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I'm really enjoying this. I wanna talk about, now did you make these costumes here?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah. So
wow.
that's my friend Glendine. She is my best travel friend. We call each
Mhm.
other BTFs. So she loves to travel just as much as I do, and we had talked at one point on a girls' trip somewhere about how much we loved the peaches and cream Barbie.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Oh, at some point I should make a peaches and cream Barbie dress." And I don't know how long ago that was, but anyway, I decided I was going to do it for us in 2022,
Mhm.
no, 2023. And we were going on a Greece and Croatia cruise with us and our husbands on Virgin Voyages. And I made those, so that's us in peaches and cream Barbie cocktail dresses. And so we went all around the ship getting various photo ops, and our husbands were very patient with us. And her husband recommended that, or said that he didn't want to dress up as Ken. And
Uh-huh.
so we made little name tags for both of them that said, "Hello, my name is not Ken." And then there was a guy on the cruise who was wearing a sweater that had the Barbie script on it that said Ken. and we ran into him while we were wearing the dresses, and we're like, "Oh my god, it's Ken!" We have a picture. So we do have a picture with Ken.
Oh, I love it. You talking about the glow not defining you, you define the glow. You
Yeah.
have done that in every aspect of what you've been going through. And the next thing that you did was, now you've been tell us what you do by day. By day, you have your travel agency.
Yep.
And by night, you're an editor, right?
Yeah, so my husband owns a publishing company,
Mhm.
Wizard Science Fantasy, which is all queer and inclusive science fiction and fantasy.
Mhm.
And so I am the in-house copy editor, one of the in-house copy editors for Space Wizard. I've been doing that since 2016 when he first started self-publishing his own books. And then he opened the publishing company to other writers in 2021, 2021, I believe. And so I've been doing that since then. I went to college as an English major um, and did copy editing and literature and that sort of thing. So I've been editing for a long time, and then I've also been writing for a really long time. And my first published short story was in our Fiery Deeps anthology last year,
Mhm.
and that was called Flame Retardant and was about a a girl who is that came from our Greek cruise,
Mhm.
and was descended a girl descended from Greek goddess Hestia, and she has fire powers, and every time she uses her powers, all her clothes burn off, and so she was trying to find flame retardant fabric to make clothes that would be sustainable, and she goes into a certain fabric store that might be going out of business right now, that everybody
Mm.
knows. I renamed it Judy's,
Yes.
um, in homage to my aunt. But anyway, and she meets a cute girl in there and falls in love, and things happen. But
Uh-huh.
then, and there's a villain and everything.
Of
But
course
then
there is.
I've been writing my book since early 2023, and
Mhm.
only a chapter. Um, and that just came out on April 22nd this year, 2 days after my 3-year survivorversary. Um, so yeah, that
Well, I really enjoyed reading your book and the fact that I know for a fact that you told your story within the book. And like you said, I've been married, 18 years when I was diagnosed. But the fact that you told two different stories within the book, because we always think about our life. What if we didn't have cancer with the person that we're with? And
mhm,
how would it look different? Or would it be the same? Or would they be there? And what was really interesting for every chapter, you use song titles.
yep.
You have some good taste in
Thank you.
songs. You really do. What was like your favorite chapter, putting the song title with the chapter? I'm looking it up now while we're here.
Ugh,
What was your
geez.
favorite one? What do you think?
Um, I mean, there's some favorite songs in there,
Mhm.
um, but and also just to mention that the songs are paired because there's two timelines. So
Yep.
the the songs are paired in some way. So either the titles have something to do with each other, or the themes have something to do with each other, or the artists have something to do with each other. It might
Yes.
be the same artist. Um, so, um,
Like Umbrella by Rihanna was one of them.
yes.
And
And then I had,
y
uh,
you had so many.
yeah,
Um, Part of Me, Broken Pieces,
Yeah.
Shut Up and Dance. So that one, I really Shut Up and Dance, I really like that one.
Yeah.
I
That
Walk
one
the
was
Moon.
paired with I Wanna Dance with Somebody by Whitney
Ex
Houston, which is one of my all-time favorite 80s
Mhm.
songs.
I really like Easy on Me.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Okay, Unwritten, Set to Fire to the Rain, Here Comes the Rain Again." I was like, "Here comes the" oh, she went way back.
Yeah.
Here Comes the Rain Again. I love it. The Commodores,
Oh, yeah.
your song
I mean, I've got D.R.
selection.
Warwick in there a
You
couple
got
times.
T.R. Warwick, Josh
Yeah.
Corbin, you have Lizzo.
Yep.
Some great ones were in there, and at the end, when you go to the acknowledgments, that's when I was like, "Okay, Black and White, Michael Jackson, Love on Top," like, everything, and then you actually sing, right?
Yes.
So, you sing, you sew. What don't you do? Like, you are truly a strong female character. I
Yes.
love it. I love
I
it.
am
I
I
love
am
it.
not allowed to whistle. I can sing, but I am not allowed to whistle. My husband says I'm not allowed to whistle. I cannot for some reason, I cannot match pitch when I whistle.
He says, "Please don't. You can do everything else, but what you can't do is that. What you can't do is that."
Yep.
I mean, like, what did you there were so many. Only You.
Yep.
I'm like, you went Madonna, Like a Prayer. I like that. That's when
Yep.
they were walking out to church after their wedding. I said,
Yep.
very fitting at last. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I
I
loved
will
all of that.
say that Broken Pieces Shine, by Evanescence is
Mhm.
one of the songs that hit me the absolute most when I was going through treatment,
Okay.
um, because it and it's all about the lyrics for that one, but it may not and she may not be talking anything about cancer, but
Yeah.
and it could be
Yeah.
about surviving other things, but one of the lyrics in there is survival hurts.
Yeah.
And that like I was literally listening to that album the first time while I was cleaning the house because I like to
Mhm.
listen to upbeat music while I'm cleaning
Mhm.
the house or like a great audiobook or something just to keep me motivated, whatever. And so I was like rocking out to that album and for the first time and that song came on and when she sang Survival Hurts and it
Mm.
was like right when we were, I don't think I had quite gotten to chemo yet, but it was like right after surgery and I was
Mhm.
healing and whatever. And I was like, man, yes,
Man. Yeah.
yes,
The
it
song
does.
hit difference, right? It
Yeah,
hits different. Now you
yeah,
could have heard this song, and I mentioned Umbrella because it hits different for me now.
yeah,
For my husband, like, he was my umbrella, and there was a lot of rainy days. There were a lot of rainy days, some
yep,
storms that I didn't think I was gonna survive, but the fact that, survival, it does hurt.
yep,
Going through in the grieving process, you're forever grieving something, and it's never what someone might think you should be grieving,
yeah,
but it's those small things, and then it's the ones that hit hard. It could be the relationship of something. It could
yep,
be the ending of something or the start of something, or like you said in your book, what they call the new normal, which I hated that term.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was fine with my old normal, but okay, I'll take
yeah.
that new normal.
I don't even remember what the old normal was anymore, but the other part of that song is and it's the title Let the Broken Pieces Shine
Mm,
is the part that gives you hope in the
mhm.
song. Like survival hurts, but you got to let the broken pieces shine.
Yep.
And there's another song in the list as well, Where the Light Shines Through by Switchfoot, which
Oh,
is the wound. One of the lyrics in there is the wound is where the light shines through. And
mm.
so every time I look at my scars, I think about that's where the light is shining through. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, there's so many songs in there that I think about there, there's a lot of songs in there that relate to they
It's
all
some
relate to the story in some
yeah,
way, but a lot of them relate to me personally as
yeah,
well. Um, some of them are just fun. Um,
yeah, yeah. You
Whitney Houston,
look.
I want to dance with somebody is just fun. Um, and it
Like,
relates to the story, but
it relates to this story. Like, True Colors,
oh
I
yeah,
see your true colors shining through.
yeah,
Hits different
yeah.
when you're diagnosed with cancer.
I
Hold
can't
on
listen.
to now
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. And I can't listen to Gloria Gaynor's "I Will Survive" anymore without crying.
without crying, right?
Or the Bee Gees. Uh, Geez.
Which one is it?
What is the Bee Gees?
It's
Now
an
I'm
upbeat
having that brain fog. Uh,
it's an upbeat song, right?
yeah, yeah.
Is it on your list? It's not on here.
No, it's not on there.
It's not on there.
I
But
think I
you
was gonna.
did have Uninvited by Alanis Morissette, which I
Yeah,
really love.
I love
When I
that
seen
song.
that, and I was like, "Wait a
Yeah,
minute, these are song titles." I caught on pretty quickly that they were
yeah,
song titles.
yeah.
And, Lizzo, About Damn Time, I love
Oh
that.
yeah,
Oh, just a really great connection to the words and how therapeutic was this to write this, to put this, even though it's fiction, two different dimensions, different timelines. How therapeutic was it for you to finish this and publish it?
it was so therapeutic to write, and get my story out there,
Mhm.
and just get my story out of me.
Mm.
Even if I didn't publish it, like just
Mhm.
writing it out was so therapeutic. And tell a lot of people that writing those scenes, especially like the chemo headache scene, and some of the other scenes going through some of the harder testing scenes and that sort of thing, I wrote them so fast, so very fast, because I was trying to get all that emotion out.
Mhm.
And those were the places where I had the most typos, was because I was just typing so fast just to try to get it all out, just so I didn't
Mhm.
forget anything. And if I go back and read it, and in when I was reading it before I sent it to my husband, because he does all our developmental editing,
Mhm.
and then when I was reading it after doing that, and then when I was reading it after beta readers, I still tear up during some of those scenes. And I tear
Mhm.
up during other parts too, because there's
Yeah.
other emotional beats in the book, and in both timelines, um, for me and hopefully for the readers. But it's still emotional for me to read some of that, um, because I feel like I'm there. I tried to write
Mhm.
it like I was feeling it. But so all of the breast cancer stuff is my journey. There
Yes.
are also some other little tidbits in there that a couple of my friends picked up on, that are from them, that are little inside jokes that they picked up on, that they knew, which I'm not going to share, but
Yeah.
they're in the book, and they're just fun anecdotes and things, but they do come from real life and things that
Uh-huh.
we've said to each other that are just silly, but they make cute, fun things. And what I like to tell everybody about this book is that it
Mhm.
does have a happy ending. It
Yes.
does deal with breast cancer, but there is a happy ending.
Yes.
So a lot of, if people are concerned because it deals with breast cancer, I am still here. My main character is still here at the end.
Mhm.
So
Claire is still here.
yes,
I love
in
that.
both timelines, she is
In
still
both
here,
timelines.
because it is kind of like a sliding doors, if you've seen the movie Sliding Doors
Uh-huh.
concept, but there is no one true timeline in this book. Because in Sliding Doors, they bring the two timeline, they kind of diverge and then
I
come back together, and make one true timeline. In this book, I was trying to make it so there's not one true, they're running parallel,
and
and
it
they
took
stay
me into,
parallel.
like, the 3rd chapter to realize, "Okay, wait a minute. Did we just repeat that? Wait a minute. Did we just" and then I got that there was 2 different and then at the end, I'm not gonna give it away, but
Yeah.
how they talk about and how the two timelines line up and why this timeline is the way it is and why this timeline is the way it is. Guys, you have to read it, right? You have to read it, get it in hand. When your husband sent it to me, I was like, okay, so I'm going to read it. Then I started listening to it, right? And I was like, okay, now I get it. And sometimes I had to go back and was like, okay, I'm on it. Now I get it. And then to see how the characters play with each other and some of them kind of cross in both timelines. Okay, so you have to read it. All right?
Yeah.
You have to read it. And one of the things that you talk about in your book is this support of your friends,
Oh yeah.
whether you're going through or not going through. And
Yeah.
then what your friends do to make sure that you're included
Hmm.
you're going through. They don't want you to miss big moments and things like that. They
Yeah.
include you in those and they think about you during your treatment. And
Hmm.
sometimes we forget that other people are very much affected
Yeah. Yeah.
by
Everyone around you is affected by your diagnosis. So,
yeah.
whether it's just that they're thinking about you more, or they're wanting to help, or
Mhm.
something like that, they're still affected, and your spouse or your significant other or your parents, your siblings, your kids, they're all going to be affected, especially. So it's, yeah, it doesn't it doesn't only affect you. You're not in a
Mhm.
bubble.
You're not in a
um
bubble. Even though you feel like sometimes you're the only
yeah.
one in that bubble, it doesn't. You have people who are there and then you heard those words and then they hear those words and then they see your body transform from what it used to look like to what it is now. But I must say, Miss Heather, you have defined your glow very well
Oh, thank you,
through
and
your
so
book
have
and
you.
oh, well, thank you. I was so happy when you reached out to me, and I had no idea that there was a connection with, Healing Pines. I really enjoyed talking to your other counterpart about her book. That was so wonderful, Erin, and when I met her, she was just like, "Hi, I'm Erin, and I have a book coming out," and I was like, "Alright. It's time for me to start my podcast up again because I you take a break sometimes. You know how you put your book on your shelf on the
Yeah.
shelf, kind of put the podcast on the shelf, but I'm always here doing it. So I am so glad that you did come on. What haven't we talked about? And normally I don't go past that 45, 55-minute mark, but I had to get everything in with you.
I
And
wear a
I
lot of hats.
well, tell us about it to my millions of listeners.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's coming up next. How can they find this book? Because again, I didn't want to give anything away. Just let us know what's going on with you next and where they can find everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is only a chapter. You can find it through our website, spacewizardsciencefantasy.com. Is one of the best places to get it. You can get it directly through us, and you can get signed copies. And uh, on there, you can also see other links where you can get it. You can get it through bookshop.org, where you can support indie bookstores. You can also get it through Amazon or Barnes and Noble. We hope it will be coming to audiobook sometime later this year, but no specific date on that yet. You can also follow me on social media. Those links are scrolling as we speak. And So Heather Tracey author on Facebook, Blue Sky Heather Tracey author, and Instagram is the weird one. It's at honeyjar319, like HUNNYJAR 319, like honey as in Winnie the Pooh. So I'm a big Winnie the Pooh fan. And then if you're interested in my travel agency, that's Melvin's Travel Adventures. And so melvinstraveladventures.com, Facebook and Instagram, Melvin's Travel Adventures, or on Blue Sky as Melvin's TA. And yeah, so
Did I get it all up there?
I hope so. But if you find one, you
Like,
can usually they all kind of link to each other, so you can find me on all the other ones. If you find the Space Wizard Science Fantasy.com website, my author bio has all of those links, and all of those social links on there as well. So you can, if you missed one, just you can
you'll
find it that
find
way.
out. Now, do you sell your honey or you just do it for yourself?
Right now, we are just trying to get enough to support our tea addiction, because my husband and I have tea time every day, and
I
we
love
we
it.
love honey in our tea, and I also do a lot of baking. I love baking.
Mhm.
The part about Claire watching Great British Baking Show is definitely me, and a friend and I are doing a lot of the Bake Off challenges in real life, just for fun,
Just for
just
fun.
to expand our knowledge and that kind of thing. But so I bake a lot with honey and that kind of thing. But eventually, we hope to sell honey. We do sell our candles that we make with our beeswax. So if you follow Space Wizard Science Fantasy and sign up for the newsletter,
Mhm.
my husband puts out what local markets, usually around Raleigh, the Triangle, and then Charlotte area that we are
Mhm.
doing. And um, we will have our usually have our beeswax candles that you can purchase from us as well. We don't sell those on the website yet, just because we don't have a lot of them. But we make cute little chunky hamsters and gnomes
Oh, I love it.
and dinosaurs and stuff like that. So
Oh, I'm gonna have to get a Winnie the Pooh candle because my daughter, I have twins, and one of them, her poo is from when she was a baby,
yeah,
and that poo looks like it's been through hell and back, but that poo will never go anywhere with its one eye and short arm. It's
yeah,
never gonna go anywhere because she has been sucking on that other arm forever since she was a baby. But
yeah,
maybe next year you'll have a lot of products so you can be at Preserve the Connection, our
yeah,
4th annual, which is coming up again this year. But I
yeah,
wanna thank you for being such an awesome guest. Guys, if you are looking at this live or if you're doing a repeat, please make sure you follow her and you read get the book, get it in hand, and then take all of the chapters and go through the playlist. Like, you're gonna have some fun.
yeah.
And, Heather, thank you so much. If you don't mind staying around in the backstage while I close this out, I appreciate it. Is there anything you wanna add before you go backstage?
I don't think so. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, and you are definitely a strong female character in your own novel, in your own life. Thank you so much for joining me, Heather. Just hang out backstage and I'll be right there. Guys, this was actually like I was feeling under the weather. I've been going, and this has been one of the most rewarding interviews that I've done. All of them are good, but I really do appreciate this one because she reached out to me through my email, which I've asked you guys to do several times. And I am so grateful that I said yes and she said yes. So, what you need to remember is please, the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. And Heather Tracey is doing just that. So, remember, the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, if you are in my neighborhood, come out and see us on May 4th from noon to 5. Rain or shine, we're going to be there. But if we are rained out, we'll have a rain out date that's coming up. But I hope to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me.